It's time. You're getting the call. It's time to step up in leadership, and that means keeping your attorney on task. With more on how to do that, here's your host, Molly McGrath.
So I want to go back and talk about 9 steps to respectfully focus your boss, because it's not a matter of if, it is when. You have all the frameworks in place, but these are effective keys to lead daily and boost everyone's productivity, which is the only way we get to profitability. So you see here, this is a framework for you to anchor to. And these are the 9 steps and 9 keys that will keep your boss, your attorney, on track. So number 1 is scheduling weekly marketing meetings. This is a must. So often, you probably have experienced this in the past. The attorney will want to turn every meeting, every conversation, every water cooler, every email communication and ping pong that they're forwarding to what have you into a marketing meeting. They'll forward you other emails that they get from attorneys. We should implement this. I love that they're doing this. They're blah, blah, blah. If they come from a networking event, they're coming in and swooping by the office and they're saying, oh my God. And then they're trying to share with you, and it shows up like a derailer. It shows up like a bomb in the room. And the reason for this, it's never going to stop. It's going to continually happen. But when you have same place, same time, weekly marketing meeting, you're like, got it? That's all they want you to say is, I hear you, I've captured it, it's going on the agenda. It's going on the strategic marketing plan for this quarter and or the brainstorming sprints for next quarter, whatever it might be. But this is critical. I am shocked by how many law firms that I meet with that do not have a weekly marketing meeting. Some of them might have it on the calendar, but it keeps getting hijacked, canceled every single solitary week because we're so busy. We have client work. We have this emergency, that emergency. If you want to show up like the everyday hero, if you want to instill extreme confidence in your attorney, go to them and say, this is a non-negotiable. I've been letting you off the hook. We are putting this on the calendar every single week. This is the only way we're going to reach revenue goal. This is the only way that this is your 1 hour a week that you fully get to feel like an entrepreneur, like a visionary, and we're anchoring to this. Previous modules you will see where I mock how to do a marketing meeting. I mock through the strategic plan for marketing with the marketing plan, the metrics, the budget, all that. So don't worry about what we're doing in that meeting. You can skip ahead and watch that. But this is for this week. You are non-negotiable. I am not letting you give up on your future self, attorney. We're putting this on the calendar. I'm managing and facilitating it, and it is happening every single week. But based on your time chunking, based on your time template, 2:00 on Mondays, it's occurring during our paper day, during our CEO day. Number 2 is you want to set boundaries and get really clear. You might have to go back to the house rules of engagement. As you always hear me say, it's never a one and done. It is constantly evolving. By now, you're more than halfway through the program. I would bet my bottom dollar that your house rules of engagement that you set up in the beginning have evolved, have changed. You want to make certain that, number 2, that you're going back to setting boundaries and you're holding the attorney to it. You're being really crystal clear of what is occurring. For example, when you're in the middle of the marketing meeting and the attorney or your boss starts checking email or Google searching a topic. I've had this happen with so many attorneys that I've either served as fractional CMO for, or even my own attorney that I worked with many days. He was a 9 quick start on the Colby. And lo and behold, he'd be pulling out his, back then, BlackBerry, and he'd be checking his email or what have you. And for so long, I just sat there suffering in silence. I'm like, this is a complete waste of time. He's not even present. He's not even engaged. But I know when we walk out of this meeting, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and have an email that's going to be like, what about this? What about the workshop? How many people did we do that newsletter? No, you want to set boundaries. Your time is just valuable as the attorney. And they're depending on you to hold them accountable during this time as well. So you're not going to be dramatic about it. You're not going to be disrespectful for it, but you are going to be a whistleblower. I have literally done this before where my attorney's on, and there wasn't Facebook back then, where I've been on facilitating meetings. So I'll be like, hey, attorney, like, are you on Facebook right now? What's going on? Why are you on your cell phone right now? They need you to do this right now. Say, do you want leads? Do you want to exceed goal? Do you want to make certain that we have a clear, concise plan for this week? And especially if you have overseas, especially if you are a virtual assistant. So often, this is going to be the biggest stretch goal for you. You don't want to disrespect your boss. You don't want to interrupt your boss. They're the ones that write your paycheck. They're not the ones that write your paycheck. The clients are the ones that write your paycheck. And if you don't have marketing occurring, you don't have leads and you don't have clients, and that's when you won't have a paycheck. And your attorney needs to have somebody who is really holding them, setting and holding them to their boundaries. So you've already done number 1 in the 9 steps. You have the weekly marketing meeting. Yay. I feel so proud of myself that we're having this every week. I'm holding them to that. But now we're there. They're showing up late. They're showing up disorganized. They're reviewing a trust in the middle of it. They're on Facebook, whatever they're doing. No, this is an intentional board of directors meeting, and we're not going to tolerate going outside these boundaries. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your boss. It doesn't serve the firm, and it doesn't serve the health and the growth of the organization. This is for every single meeting. I see it time and time. And again, going back to the Colby, know your attorney's Colby. If they're a high quick start, I have had firm leaders literally say no cell phone in the room. You can't even help yourself. They have attention span of a gnat. Maybe you have them stand up. They don't even sit down. And they have the opportunity to pace in between or what have you. But if you know your attorney's Colby, and vice versa, if they're a high fact finder as well. Number 3, permission standards. We really have to get clear on this and define consistent answers for the most common problems that generally block the workflow. So we want to get clear on that pre-approval standards, when we can make decisions, because I hear from attorneys all the time, everybody's coming to me constantly to ask questions or what have you. So we want to know when we can waive that initial consultation fee. When we have, and we're going to talk about the 5 levels of delegation next, that'll help with creating these permission standards. But perhaps you can agree that you're allowed to offer a 10% discount appropriate without getting the boss's approval, anything over 10%. Maybe we could waive that if somebody comes, a really great referral or client that's coming in, we're not going to make them go to the workshop, even though that's part of our process. We're going to make informed business decisions without always having to go back to the attorney. And it's not about process violation. It is not about this becoming the norm, but if you allowing you to be empowered to make decisions and keep the process moving forward. And then you choose the most common ones, and it might be time to go back and update our process because buying behaviors change, marketing changes, human behaviors change. We're working at the speed right now with the internet and with digital and with social and with AI and what have you. So we constantly should be updating our processes and anchoring to it. So when we have our permission standards really, really clear, and I'll go more into this with the 5 levels of delegation, then it gives us the opportunity to be disruptive, to be creative disruptors within the marketplace and knock the snot out of our competition. I have had firms so often where like, I'm not meeting with anyone for anything but a paid consultations. I've heard this from attorneys over and over and over again. But when they're not looking at the reporting, when they're not looking at the metrics, when they're not looking at the conversions, and then I interview intake, like, we don't have any client appointments. We're not meeting cash flow, but they're not talking to intake. They're not doing the weekly stakeholders meeting. They're not doing the weekly marketing meeting, going back to the importance of that. And we find out we got 15 leads and 0 booked because of the barrier of entry was at paid consultation. So permission standards are if you get the right energy, you get the right tonality, you feel that they're deeply engaged, you feel like they are ready to buy, they're ready to move, what have you, let's split test it. Let's start going to a place where we will offer some initial consultation. Susie Q, the receptionist or intake coordinator, I trust you. But make sure we're tracking it in the CRM. Make sure we're looking at the hire rate. Bring the information to the weekly marketing meeting, and let's start looking at this. So we want to be incredibly clear on that. I have so many firms who have so much lost business because of this paid initial consultation. And that is when the rest of the competition is offering free consultations. Attorneys sometimes have head trash about, well, they're not serious, they're not buying, they're not whatever it might be. Or we might say split test it 3 ways. You have the permission to hold a credit card, and if they cancel after 24 hours, sooner or later than 24, 48, 72, whatever, I've seen it every which way, then we're going to charge your card. So let's split test all 3. Free, paid, blah, blah, blah. But you are empowered team member. You are knowledgeable team member. You are well aware of knowing the difference between a pain in the ass client, F-level client, and what have you, and a really solid qualified lead. And I give you that discretion. So number 3 is really anchoring to permission standards of what we can do. And it really goes back to that data metrics and tracking. And when you understand that. 4 is radical change. We have to understand that when you're in business, you are in the business of change. And so we really have to understand that a radical change might be taking over the attorney's email and no more that they're going to be doing that. Or they no longer get a voicemail box. No longer are clients going to that. We're going to start building initial consultations. It might be the radical changes. We're going to start charging an initial consultation fee and testing it, what have you, because we don't have any data or information about from marketing to understand what's going on with the targeting, what's going on with the marketing, what have you. You have to embrace that for you to be that we are in that, you know, the pain points. You're on the front lines every single day. You know the process, you know the clients, you know the prospects, what have you. So for you to start really focusing your boss from an intentional way is to embrace radical change and to be the change yourself and be proposing this. Theme of Law Firm Admin Bootcamp, propose solutions versus constant problem. So you're seeing the communication ping pong go back and forth with the client. You're seeing the client emailing the attorney directly, hopefully not, and then them calling because the attorney didn't answer for it, or the attorney answered it and they came back with 17 other questions that are going to you, to the paralegal, to what have you. So making that suggestion for change, it's ineffective. We have upset clients, and you don't even have time in your schedule for it. So take the extra minutes that you spend handling client calls and really working on approving that marketing campaign or that funnel or what have you. 5, We have to make it fun and we have to make it funny. This is law firms, business are so heavy, hard, and serious. And humor is a great way to handle potentially awkward or tense situations. If you've been attending law firm admin boot camp or you've gone through the 8 modules with the Team Empowerment Academy that Lainey and I did many years ago, that's in the back end of the academy, highly recommend when you're done with the 12-week foundational boot camp that you go back to that. And Lainey and I tell some real life stories. We work for the same attorney, and he's an 8 quick start, as you've heard me say so often, but we would have fun with it and have money games or what have you. So when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, Lainey tells stories about where she had a jar. If you don't get me those review documents back, you owe me $100 bill. And literally the attorney would have to walk around with a pocket full of $100 bills. One of the things that I have for my team is Fridays are supposed to be my growth days. No client meetings. This is my opportunity for my yoga clothes to get my projects, record my podcasts, do all the things that I have to do to grow the business. I'm the biggest violator of it. And so for my team, they know if I schedule any appointments on my calendar that should not be there with a referral source, with a client, with a prospect, whatever, they have full permission to cancel that appointment and put on their invoice, to put on their timesheet, $100 bonus per appointment. Per appointment. They don't have to ask me, you're supposed to be doing this on Friday. Can I? There is no ask, there's tell. And this is really what this module about the 9 steps to focus your boss is not about asking. We should be out of the business of asking anymore at this stage in the program. It is about telling and anchoring to the standards. So we really want to have fun with this. I like show me the money. Lainey talks about that too. If we were to interview any of our past attorneys, they love it too because they don't want to be handing out hundies all the time. They really want you to hold their feet to the fire. So we have to have fun with it. Growth days, as you see here, I'm not going to go into this. We've gone into this extensively. This is the biggest violators, our growth days. Like I was talking about mine. If I book appointments and I don't get my podcast done, I don't get my blogging done, I don't get my marketing stuff done, 2 weeks of this, 3 weeks of this, 4 weeks of this, guess what? I don't know what happened. We don't have any leads. I don't know what happened. We don't have any hires. What we're doing today will impact 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks down the road. So growth days are non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. And go back to number 5 if you have to. Make it fun and funny. Show me the money if we violate those. Talk about all the tips for having a productive growth day here for you. And then again, construction days that we've talked about. That is your paper days, your money days, anchoring to that. And lastly, number 9 is less is more. Do not take on too much. There's a phenomenal book I'd recommend to everyone called The One Thing. And it's incredible. Attorneys are entrepreneurs. They want to implement. I went to this networking event. I went to this legal conference. I was in this Facebook group. We should start blah, blah, blah. We already know what our true north is right now. No, we're not going to start implementing an implementation or client care program or maintenance program midstream in Q2. That can go on a project for what have you. But your attorney is not dictating to you. They need you to remind them of what your path and plan that you already have. So you really want to be like something's got to give, less is more. So as we've talked about, time management is a failed paradigm. Time management is a failed paradigm. It's about focus management. So when your boss has offered a fun new project to be part of, when a colleague asks for a huge favor or when you're thinking about volunteering or speaking at this chamber event, Rotary event, what have you, getting on this board, whatever it might be, it's time for you to refocus your boss and have that courageous conversation, have that crucial conversation. So the next time you receive that invite to speak at the Rotary meeting or what that has not produced one stitch of business in the past, it is not about a vanity metric. It's not about the ego of, oh, I get to be on stage or what have you. Don't let them fool you to say, well, especially now, it'll be great for social media for us to put pictures out there and to say that we are invited to speak at blah, blah, blah. No, we would get a hell of a lot more ROI if you would actually record that webinar. So the time it's going to take for you to prepare for the Rotary meeting, drive there, get there, attend it, talk to people after, drive back to the office or what have you. Now we're 4, 5, 6 hours deep or what have you versus 1 hour to record the webinar that you've been putting off for the past year that will actually be able to run Facebook ads to. We're saying no to that. Something's got to give. They need you to remind them of that. They need you to anchor them to that. Because so often as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we're afraid to say no to opportunities. We have to be incredibly clear on what an opportunity is and what the ROI is and what they've been putting off. We know for a fact it's tried, tested, and proven by the other law firms and law firm admin bootcamp that have launched Pints and Planning or Wine and Wills or what have you, or the attorney has launched their evergreen webinar and they're saying they're getting an average of 42 leads a week from that while we sleep. No, you're not going to the Rotary. Sorry, not this time. However, you can speak at next quarters if you get the webinar recorded. So here you'll see, I want your attorney to sign this. I want your attorney to date this. And I want you to go back to your house rules of engagement around this. So let's talk next about the 5 levels of delegation that really go hand in hand with this. I love this. This is a strategy that's been adopted from the Harvard Business Review. And the firms that have been implementing this in Law Firm Admin Bootcamp has said it's been a game changer. This is something you want hanging everywhere. In your break rooms, in your war rooms, next to your computers. We want this if you're virtual. We want this to become everyday language for you. The gotta minutes, the are you interruptible, the email slinging, the Slack delegation, whatever it might be, going back to focusing your job, going back to anchoring to your permission standards. We want this to be common language within your firm to say, is this a level 1 delegation or a number 5 delegation? This is how you walk and talk and act like a leader, like a legal leader, and it causes your attorney, going back to the clarify and verify that we talk about all the time, is really anchoring to this. So as you'll see, level 1, do exactly as I've asked. So often attorneys will be like, I gave this to them and then they came back with 13 questions and I thought I was clear. I just wanted them to go do it. And I don't know if they're getting it. I don't know if they're the right fit. This eliminates all of that. So you're clarifying it. And think about the last assignment that you received. Maybe it was something new that you haven't done before. Or maybe it's something that we're up-leveling. So level 1, do exactly as I've asked. This means do exactly what I've asked you to do. Don't deviate from my instructions. And I have already researched the options in determining what I want you to do. So this is incredibly clear. So just clarify this, a level 1 delegation. You want me to cancel the E&O insurance with ABC Company, and you want me to sign the agreement for FGI Company, correct? So you're clarifying and verifying, but you're also clear of what level of delegation this is. This is incredibly helpful when you're training and onboarding as a team member, new team members. This is incredibly helpful if you are a virtual assistant, if you are overseas. This is incredibly helpful for you when your attorney is giving you assignments, especially if it's through Slack channels and technology and communication and not face-to-face in that time. So you're clarifying it. Now, when this becomes part of the fabric of your firm, this is part of your everyday communication and language, you'll get to the point when you start anchoring to this language where the attorney will send you something, they'll literally be able to forward it to you and say, level 2 delegation. You'll know exactly what that means. They'll know exactly what that means, and it's incredibly clear. Level 2 delegation is research and report. This means that you research a topic, gather the information, and report at the daily huddle or weekly stakeholder. They might say level 2 delegation, bring it to next week's marketing meeting. So you don't have to blow up their email with this. You show up and you come back. You've done a level 2 delegation and you discuss it. I've done the research. I went between this company and that company for Facebook ads to workshop, what have you. And my recommendation is that we go with this company and let's make a decision. And here's why. No long-term contract. They had better, I called their 5 reviews or testimonials that they gave me, previous clients, and this is what we're going to do. That's a research and report. It may be a level 3, that's research and report. It might be level 3, which is research and recommend, where you are researching the top, outlining the options, and bringing the best recommendations for them. And I love that I just kind of mixed that up right there because there's a difference between 2 and 3. 2 is just, I want you to research it, gather all the information, and give me the report on what you discovered. 9 out of 10 times, if you have a high fact finder, this is where they're going to tend to hover the most in regards to that. If you have a high quick start, they're going to want number 3, which is research and recommend. So they're going to want all the information here. Like everything else I say all the time, here's the deal. If you have a high fact finder, you have got to get a deadline. Because level 2 delegation is, then I will make the decision and tell you what I want you to do. Not with a high fact finder. You need a due date and a deadline of when they're going to do it. Especially if it's something like, I don't know why, but when it comes to logistics and office equipment, new copiers, new phone systems, new CRM, things of that nature, they'll get paralyzed and they will never make a decision. And if it come back next week at the weekly stakeholders meeting and they still say, I haven't looked at it yet, I haven't had time to research it, whatever it might be, you need to say and recommend as a legal leader, can I please move us from a level 2 to a level 3? Because you put this off for a week, our contract's running out, whatever our maintenance is going to kick in, or the last month's promotion to get consultation and implementation with the CRM, it ends in 2 days. So you want to be moving them forward. Again, no more defer and deflect decision making. You know your attorney, you know how they're hardwired by now with the Colby, and you know their patterns. So if it's sitting at level 2 for too long, and by too long, I mean a week, because if it's going to be a week, it's going to be a month. If it's going to be a month, it's going to be a year. I see it every single day. So your recommendations move to a level 3. That means I've already researched it, or maybe you already know your attorney and you might want to say, can we just make us a standard? We don't ever live in level 2 delegation. We immediately go to 3 because then it becomes extra work for you, attorney. You're a high fact finder. You're the only attorney here, and you're not going to make a decision. It's costing us money. We could decrease our overhead. We could get a better ROI with this marketing company over that marketing company, etc. So level 3 is that you're going to research it, outline the options, come to them with the best recommendation, give them the pros, the cons of each option. And if they make a decision, no more defer and deflect, and we're going to move forward. 4 is I just want you to be a true leader. This means you make a decision and then tell me what you did. I trust you to do the research, make the best decision you can, and then keep me in the loop. I don't want to be surprised by someone else. So ultimately, we're moving more to a level 3, level 4, if not 5 consistently. We are no longer in 1 or 2. And that's when you know you truly are on that path of growth and mastery of really becoming your boss's boss, which is ultimately what we want as entrepreneurs. So 5 is to act independently. And it means to make whatever decision you think is best. No need to report back. I trust you completely. I know you'll follow through and you have my full support. I personally just had this conversation this morning with my director of recruiting, Crystal. We have one of our recruiters, and each week she shows up at the weekly recruiting meeting, and I'm like, I'm not seeing it in her. Crystal hired her. Crystal's managing her, everything. And I have my one-on-one as a lead team, and then move into the weekly meeting. And I said to Crystal, I'm like, okay. I'm not really seeing it. How's she doing? We're 60 days in now. What are your thoughts and what have you? And she said, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'll make a decision within a week. And I'm like, okay, I trust you. I'm like, you got your backup plan for who's going to replace her, what have you. I'll know this is done when I show up at next week's meeting. And the person that's in question is either there or not. And Crystal's going to handle it all. Going to handle it with HR, going to handle it with the employee, going to handle the exiting and the replacement and all that. And I am so happy it's not me. It's not a good use of my time. I don't want to do it. And I fully trust Crystal. So this, in essence, is where you want to get to in common language within your firm, where no longer you have to go back and forth. Do you want me to research it, or do you want me to get a quote? Do you want me to do 2 companies? Do you want me to do 3 companies? None of that communication ping pong. We are moving fast. We are in the business of making decisions. We are empowering our team. We are clarifying and verifying. So the goal is that within your communication standards, you might go back to your house rules and update that. You might go back there and say, our house rules is we do not delegate without the 5 level of delegation. My recommendation is you do go back and update those now that we're in here and really keep evolving those, that we're communicating in regards to that. So not only are we clarifying and verifying, but then if it's a delegation, you as a new team member, if this is you, this would be the greatest gift that you bring to your attorney, even if you're the only team member, especially if you're overseas. They will understand that you get it, want it, and have the capacity for it. This will increase their confidence in that. And once you start moving more into the level 2 and 3 and consistently be anchoring to that, holding your attorney accountable, creating deadlines with that, you will quickly be moving more into a level 3, 4, and then ultimately 5 consistently. There will be no more level 1 or level 2 because we all have proof of concept. So at this point in the program, you should be at a place where you're confident, you're comfortable, you have the safety, you have the trust, you have the excitement from your attorney that you're their boss. My very first attorney would always say, "Good morning, boss," to me. Literally, he would always say to me, "Good morning, boss." I was the boss. Your attorney does not want to be the boss. A definition of a boss is that you're telling people what to do, telling people where to be, telling people what the next. Your attorney does not want to do that. They need to be focusing on their top 3 revenue, visionary entrepreneur activities. We're in the personal service industry, people, speaking engagements, out in the community, referral sources, what have you, meeting with and serving existing clients, because they have to do that as an attorney to give legal advice. None of us could give legal advice. And then also meeting with prospective clients and enrolling people to hire you and engage. They do not want to be in the weeds with which copier we go with, hopefully. They may be there now, but the goal is by the end of the 12-week program. They have no energy for that, no patience for that, and they're feeling extreme entrepreneurial freedom with having a team member like you. And if you're doing this as an entire firm with multiple team members in each department, that is a 10x move, where each department is operating and communicating like that. And this our standardization around communication, that we do have healthy boundaries, that we are anchoring to our recipe for success, that we are making them commit and not letting them off the hook. They don't want to behave like that. They don't have this arrogance that I'm the boss, that the rules apply to everybody else but me. That's not the feedback that I get from attorneys. They want somebody to step up and lead. So nothing would make your attorney more happy when you have to go to extremes and set boundaries to improve meeting focus. No cell phones or laptops in the meetings, because we know it's distracting for people. I see this every single day. You might have to sit with them and babysit them, especially based on their Colby, when they're reviewing documents and they despise it and can't stand it. And then they're time chunking. They have 2 to 4 to review documents for next week's signing meetings. You might have to go in there and say, "I'm sitting here and babysitting you. Give me your cell phone, get off Facebook. I know you don't want to do this. We are in the business of making decisions and we're moving." They would love that and appreciate that if somebody did it, because they know that they're ditching it. They know that they're the bottlenecks. They know they're impacting efficiency and improvement, and they may not know the impact that happens to the production team. So it's your job to shine the flashlight on that. And that might be part of your radical change. It might be part of it, where they need to be babysat at some point. That's what Lainey and I had to do for our attorney, and you'll hear that in some of the previous recordings in the back end of the academy. But you are reducing their stress. And you want to highlight the importance of cause and effect in maintaining focus and sticking to their time chunking. You're going to give them that information. Even if it's you're the paralegal sitting in there with them, and say, "If you don't do this, I am 1 hot minute from quitting. I am at my wit's end anymore." The clients are the ones calling me and they're upset about it. They don't understand the cause and effect sometimes. It's not a threat. It's not an empty threat. It's nothing of that nature. Again, going back to having fun and being funny with it and lighthearted, but extremely serious about it as well. If your attorney is ditching meetings or showing up late or showing up frazzled, they're entrepreneurs. They have an anti-authoritarian complex at the root of it. They don't like being told what to do. That's why they hung their own shingle. That's why they don't work for a big firm. But at the end of the day, they depend on it. They just don't want it from a boss. They want somebody who's committed to the client experience. And as you've heard me say once, you've heard me say it a million times, that my first attorney told me, reasons and excuses are the cemetery for your dreams. They need you to hold them accountable. Accountability around time templates, especially production and paper time if they're high quick start, especially around marketing and sales time if they're high fact finder. And starting your daily huddles with top leadership and anchoring to that, making certain that they don't have 10 million overdue tasks. And you really want to anchor to that 9-step framework and the 5 levels of delegation and have the attorney sign off on it. Update your rules of engagement. Stress the importance of clarifying and verifying delegating tasks and where we're at to eliminate communication ping pong, eliminate misunderstandings, eliminating that somebody doesn't follow through or doesn't get it or isn't understanding that. All that goes away. Those are all emotions. They're not based on any kind of structure. So, action plan for Module 7 for this week. Review the 9 steps to keep your attorney focused and make certain everybody signs it and dates it. Keep it hung up by your computer where you can see it on the daily. Your break room, your lunchroom, your war room, whatever it might be. If you're virtual, maybe it's your background. My recommendation with number 2, the 5 steps of delegation for excellence, is maybe that's your Zoom background that you have there too. You want to review it with your attorney, look at it in your weekly stakeholders meeting, possibly, highly recommend updating your house rules of engagement with this. Starting email slinging and Slack channels and delegation with level 1 delegation, level 5 delegation. Everybody have a copy of this at their workstation. Just like you're ending every meeting and hallway conversations with clarify and verify, when you're giving a new project task or what have you, if you're not already getting this level 2 delegation, then you want to clarify that before you say yes, no, what have you. So that's a wrap for Module 7. Don't forget to share the recap video that you should be sharing, taking that off your plate, your attorney's plate, and sending that to them every single week, as well as you should be well into the habit of attending open coaching hours, looking at the calendar for live events, attending the open coaching hours on Friday for CRM and technology training. These are all there for safety nets for you. It's not just about the 12-week program, showing up and checking the box and doing that. As you see, there's homework every week. As you see, your attorney's expecting additional work. But it's in the open coaching hours that will really springboard and serve as a launch pad for you. That's your community for you to be with like-minded people in your positions with the same pains, with the same gains, giving you their hacks so they can cut your workload, especially when it comes to what's working, what's not working, things of that nature. Don't try this. And then when it comes to automation and technology, attend with Beth and John at Edinger Tech every Friday. They are giving us their precious time, wisdom, knowledge to support you with your automations, with your metrics, with your workflows, and they're there to support you every step of the way. So make it an intentional, focused, bold week where you're going to be setting, resetting, up-leveling boundaries, and really embracing becoming your boss's boss, becoming your attorney's boss, so we can all reach and exceed goal. Okay, until next time, and I'll see you in Module 8.
Control freak, it's what my staff thinks. They may be right, because this treadmill of dread running through my head keeps me up at night. I'm so tired of micromanaging. How do I train, manage, and lead? I can't find time to be visionary, head down in the weeds. We're gonna tighten up this operation. We're gonna build a strong foundation. No more chaos and confusion. We'll build a team that brings solutions. I see what could be, and I can't wait. Law firm admin boot camp is the way. We're signing up today. Law firm admin boot camp is the way.